The opinions and recommendations expressed by Dan are his own and do not necessarily represent the opinions of this station or any of the show's sponsors.
Welcome back, Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. We are speaking to the president of Citizens Council for Health Freedom, Twila Brase. We are going to have Twila here with us the third Thursday every month. So she will be here the third Thursday of every month. We're going to talk about ObamaCare. We're going to talk about the impact of ObamaCare. Listen, I know this is financial issues, folks, but so much of this is so critical to our economy. There's no getting around it. This is going to have a huge impact, not only for the debt of the U.S. government, but obviously for our personal economy, for our ability to have discretionary income inside an economy that is dependent upon 71% of our economy is dependent upon you and I spending money, and we are losing our discretionary income in order to grow the economy. So this is an economic situation, but obviously it's something very concerning to all of us, and that's why I've got the best person in the country talking about this. Go to cchfreedom.org, cchfreedom.org, and make sure you sign up for Twila's email. It's critical that you do that. Twila, we're going to go to calls. Before I do that, I did have a caller that just wanted to ask this and then hung up. About what year did the DNA testing start? Do you know?
Well, most people know this as the PKU, so that started in 1965.
Okay.
But in the early 2000s is when they figured out a way to do a whole bunch of tests with equipment called mass spectrometry. Mm-hmm. And so now a lot of states are doing they're testing a child for conditions somewhere between 30 and 50, and California can even go up to like 80 conditions, I believe. Oh, wow. But genomic sequencing will be every condition, that's in your DNA. Okay. And so it's been building ever since the PKU.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to take questions, folks. Get right to your questions, and Twila will answer, and we'll go to the next call. We're going to go to Melanie from Tennessee.
Hello.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi. I carry insurance myself through my employer, and my spouse is self-employed. To have included him this year, it would have cost me like $600 extra per month just for a single spouse. Both of us are healthy, take no prescription medications. Mm-hmm. Because I had that opportunity to include him, and I did not, can I get insurance, or not really insurance, but go with that MediShare plan, or do they not allow you to because you were offered through your employer?
No, you can get MediShare anytime, and I can answer that question real quick. That is not impacted that at all. So you're able to go to MediShare, Samaritan's Ministries, any of the medical sharing programs, and get that irregardless of your eligibility to get it through your employer. But that's a great question, Melanie. Thank you. Let me go to Robin in Missouri. Do you have a question for Twila, Robin?
Yes. If my daughter is barely able to make it through the month, so she can't afford insurance, but they make just enough to not qualify for anything, and I'm concerned about when they file taxes. She said that she would be, have to forfeit $600 of her return, and I'm wondering if there's any way around that, or if there's any programs that you know that would help with that situation.
Sure.
She didn't want to avoid taxes because she needs a return to be able to, get by.
Twila?
So that's just a little interesting because she needs her return to get by. And, of course, one of the things that I think I've said on this program before is that we encourage people to not have a return, to get all of their money and then to pay in whatever needs to be paid in. But one of the things that she could do is, forego insurance, but then you get one of the exemptions. And one of the exemptions is to do a health sharing organization, which is significantly less expensive than health insurance. And it would cover her expenses. It would cover her expenses at a lower cost than traditional insurance would do it. And all of her expenses, when and if she needs them, would also be less expensive because it's at the cash basis. And so she would no doubt get reductions on what things cost, and the medical sharing members would be a majority of who would pay for her expenses. That's just part of being part of a health-sharing organization. So I would encourage you to look at all the exemptions, but consider the health-sharing organization one.
And the fines for this year are
$95 or up to 1% of your income.
$95 or 1% of your income. They go up dramatically after this year, but $95 or 1%. By the way, the medical sharing plans, they're up 40% since the beginning of Obamacare. So the reason I tell you that is it makes those programs even stronger than they already are. So that's very good news. Let me go to Lisa. Lisa in Missouri. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Yes, Lisa.
Yes, I have a question on clergies or pastors and their wives. Are they exempt?
Pastors and their wives, are they exempt?
Pastors and wives are not exempt, but a lot of pastors and their wives are choosing the health-sharing organization so that they are one of those that are then become exempt from the penalties. But there's no exemption for being a pastor or a wife.
Yep. Great. Thank you, Lisa. Let me go to Sandra in Tennessee. Hey, Sandra.
Hello. I'm calling because we are self-employed and we had self-pay insurance that was Cadillac. It was great. Forced out of it by Obamacare. We took an old-style policy with another company that's only good until the end of this year. My husband is not covered on this plan. He's basically healthy, but he is overweight. Health-sharing plans will not take him either. He has, I hate to call it discount insurance, but just a policy that Obamacare counts as no coverage. What will I do with him, and what will we do at the end of this year? We don't want to take the Affordable Care Act plans because, as I understand it, that means that part of the money we pay goes to cover abortions and the abortion pill.
Mm-hmm. What does she have? Twila, does Sandra have any other options here?
Sandra is in a difficult place. I would make sure that she checked. I would have her check all of the health-sharing organizations to see if absolutely every one of them says no to her. There are 4 of them, including Liberty Health Share, which a lot of people don't know about, but that's one as well. So check all 4 of them and just make sure. And then, right, she has choices. And that's just part of the problem when you have a law like this. It takes away the choices that you might want to have. The choice that you had is gone. And so, yeah, some people will be stuck in very difficult situations, and she sounds like she's one of them.
Yeah. And, you know, this law is just, this is one of the reasons why this is going to lead to single-payer system, socialized medicine, because more and more people are going to be aged out of options, and more people are going to be, forced into this program, particularly as pensions and governments. I got a call from a federal worker now who was laid off. He was hired back without health benefits, and he was told to go on the website to get his health plan. So very interesting. Let me go to Mike in Ohio. Hi, Mike. You have a question for Twila?
Yeah, I missed what she was saying about the DNA cards at the hospital. I was just wondering if she could repeat that, and I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, Mike, that's a little bit too detailed. It's very long. I'll tell you what, though, I would suggest for you, Mike, is to get the, go on the podcast. If you can, go to afr.net and pick up the podcast, or go to iTunes this afternoon and just type in financial issues. And it doesn't cost anything. You listen to the first hour of the program. It was kind of long and detailed, and we're trying to get to some other questions. So I apologize for that, Mike. Let me go to Pat in Michigan. Hey, Pat.
Hi, Pat. This is Pat, yeah. The question is, my daughter's 35, only works part-time, and I understand there's a penalty if she doesn't apply. So we don't know how to do that, because I heard that if you apply and get refused, then she can get on Medicaid. So what does she do?
Well, if I understand you correctly, if she goes onto the exchange, which we don't encourage, but if she would decide to do that, and if she is Medicaid eligible, she is most likely going to be put in Medicaid, even though she may not want to be. We have had stories of people who as soon as you're Medicaid eligible, they just enroll you automatically, and then you have to figure out how to get out if you don't want to be on Medicaid. And it's important not to be on Medicaid because in case she ever actually has more of an income, whatever she owns could eventually be taken by Medicaid upon her death because she had Medicaid. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah. I mean, I've gotten to all pieces of it, but just
right.
I'm sorry if I didn't.
No, I think that I think that was good, Twila. I mean, basically there are going to be few options, and I know Twila and I both hate to keep coming back to this, but the reality of it is we've got to look at these health sharing plans. And as I said, they've grown 40%, and I think they're going to continue to grow. There's 4 of them out there, and you need to check it out and find out if that's not a better option. Well, it is a better option than Medicaid for certain.
And it's very much on a Christian principle.
Right.
Like Samaritan Ministries, for instance, I think for an individual the cost is like $165 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, just compare that to the insurance policies out there.
And it is a wonderful plan, folks. They do work. They are a little bit labor intense in that there's some paperwork and record keeping you got to do. But, hey, it's well worth it. Let me go to Donna. Donna calling us from Tennessee. Hi, Donna.
Yes, I was wanting to know if all the insurance companies, do they all connect into the Obama plan?
Good question.
All the insurance companies do not connect, and the insurance companies are trying to figure out, I think, whether the exchanges, the ObamaCare exchanges, are actually going to continue for the future or if they're just going to die. And so a lot of the insurance companies have sort of put their foot in partially and offered plans on the exchange, and others haven't. And then there are companies that are half and half, so, they do it on and they do it off. There are those who said, we're not going to be any part of the Obamacare exchange. And then there are companies that have actually closed shop because of what has happened in Obamacare, so they no longer exist for individual policies or they no longer exist at all. So, you just have to look at the insurance companies in your area to see what part of it they are in. But the one thing I will say is that the law says no matter where you get your insurance, whether it's insurance company, whether it's your employer, all of them have to report to the IRS that they have covered you or that they have dropped you or that you have dropped insurance. All of that is being reported by your employer, by every insurance company, and by every exchange. So it's this huge reporting system on insurance status of every person in this country.
Twila, Sandra called back and she just asked this question. Are all Obamacare plans, or all of these plans on the exchanges, they all have to cover abortion? Is that correct?
They can have policies on there that do not cover abortion.
Okay.
So there can be that option, but the covered services, the 10 covered services, include the prevention, which is abortion. Which is contraception. But
right.
Abortion there is different in that not all the plans have to cover abortion. There can be an option on there that gives you an opt-out of that, but not out of the contraception.
So you can search that website and hopefully find one of those. Yep. All right, good stuff. We have another question that's other questions here, and Ann's not some that aren't queued up, but we're almost out of time. Twila, this was great, and I really appreciate this, and I know that our listeners do. It's so important, folks, more than ever, that we stay vigilant with all of these things that are going on in Obamacare. And you talk about a moving target. They're changing every single day. And one of the ways that you can stay on top of it is to make sure you get Twila's newsletter, cchfreedom.org, cchfreedom.org. Check out the website and check it often. Twila is going to be with us on the third Thursday of the month. Every third Thursday of the month. If there is an event that comes up that is something of critical importance that you need to know, Twila will come back and let us know that, and we'll have her back on the air. Twila, do you have one parting thing here? We only have a few minutes that you want to just kind of recap.
So I guess the one thing that I would say, particularly for that person who asked about the baby DNA,
yes,
we have a special website for that called itsmydna.org. Itsmydna.org. And we have a 10-point overview on there. And I would encourage any of your listeners to take a look at that. So that call, just to make sure you always...
Itsmydna.org?
Itsmydna.org. And then at the top of our homepage, at the very top of our homepage is where you can click and join that email newsletter that comes out every Wednesday.
Right at the top of the email, of the website, of the homepage, cchfreedom.org. You go to the homepage. Right at the top of that, folks, make sure you sign up for this newsletter. Twila Brase, president of Citizens Council for Health Freedom. Twila, thank you so much for being with us. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan.
We'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Thank you. You've been listening to Financial Issues. I sure appreciate all of you being with us. We're talking about the economy, helping you be a good steward of all that God has given you. And yes, as we need to, we will talk a bit about politics.